Hi guys, welcome to my critical review of inventory systems. I am Josh. I'm going to be looking at different inventory systems throughout the years and different inventory systems throughout different games. Um, why I'm looking into them is because I find inventory systems very interesting because I think they are unique and it allows the player it's a very core part of games as a whole because they are very much integral parts to like building games, crafting games, or survival horror games. For example, I found Resident Evil, which has very distinct different playstyles. You have the survival horror games like the older games like Resident Evil Code Veronica, the OG Resident Evil 3 and 2. Then you've got the more actiony survival horror, which is more like your Resident Evil 3 remake, your Resident Evil 6, and Resident Evil 5, where you have a lot more inventory space compared to the older games, where you can basically run through the game with a ton of health and a ton of weapons and a ton of space still left over for your puzzle pieces. A really good example of inventory systems is Arc Raiders. Arc Raiders is really good because you have your four different kinds of inventory systems. You have your stash, which you can increase by using in-game currency that you earn throughout leveling up, or selling items in your stash, which allows you to increase the maximum amount of things you can have in your stash. Then you've got your equipment slot, which allows you to have your guns on your side, on your person where you can use them. Then you have your shields, which allows you to protect your proper health. Then you have augments, which can affect your backpack space depending on which augments you use. Like the looter one will give you more backpack space. The freeloader one will give you access to a safety pocket. Combat would lose the safety pocket. Then you've got your quick use slots for like your healing items and your different utility items basically, while you've got your backpack space, which is more for the items that you collect within the run that you do. I like this inventory system the most because it allows you to at least abscond with something if you do die on your run, because you can keep it in your safe pocket and you'll keep it going back to your home base. An inventory system that's more of a progression inventory system is the Batman Arkham games, which allows you to basically do have like batarangs, explosive gel, and the decoder. Like the decoder is mainly used for hacking, because a lot of these are very much your key items. So you've got your explosive gel, which allows you to blow through walls, your decoder, which allows you to hack through doors. Then you've got your remote batarang, which allows you to hit things that you necessarily wouldn't be able to with the quick fire batarang. Then you've got your wire run, which allows you to create a wire and get above enemies as the game goes on. Now I'm going to start looking at how roguelikes use different inventory systems to basically help or hinder the player on their builds. For example, Risk of Rain 2 basically uses their inventory system to basically build. You have to find the items you need to build it, and they go into your inventory to build those builds that the player are trying to make. Then you've got Clover Pit, which basically has a limited space overworld inventory where you've got a shelf full of 7 different items, which basically can be used to help your run the further you go in. However, you've got one issue with this. One benefit with this actually is that if you run out of space, you have the opportunity to take a item off your inventory and put it into a safe pocket, like similar to Arc Raiders, which allows you to save it for later in the run if you lose one of your other items in your inventory due to it being limited time use or a specific event happens within the game. Similar thing to Balatro, it's got limited space, it's on your screen 24/7, but you have more of a negative because if you get later into the game, you have to deal with infinite cards, where basically you cannot discard the cards, which limits you from using specific amount. So you'll lose a slot in your inventory depending on depending on the level you are in and what cards you have access to, and depending on what debuffs you have access to as well. More of a basic inventory system is Minecraft. It's more of the standard for inventory systems because it allows you to basically use different items on your hotbar, which is your bar here, which has like your quick use items. Then you have more of the items that you'd mainly use for if you are bringing like torches. You'd bring an extra amount of torches, or if you're bringing blocks home, like bringing blocks to the area while building in, you would tend to put it in this area. The only way to really get more inventory space is to use a chest, which would be very much more of a hindrance due to you not being able to bring chests along with you unless you place it down in an area. You will lose access to those items until you come back to that specific chest, unless you've got an ender chest. A terrible version of an inventory system would be Skyrim, because if you look in this screenshot, you've got weapons, which basically you've got basically a sub-menu that accesses another sub-menu, which basically to access the weapon. For example, you've got weapon. For example, he goes into weapons and he's looking for the steel battle axe. So basically, you're using this, which accesses this, which causes issues for players in the future. Which causes issues for the player because you're sat there looking for specific items and you're having to scroll down to find them, and there's no actual search bar to actually find them. How I'd use inventory systems in the future would be basically using it more like Arc Raiders, because Arc Raiders is more friendly to players, because they do have the safe pocket and they have a more interesting design of having basically having 5 different sections to your inventory. Then where could I use this inventory? Where can I use it now? I could basically use it to basically I won't use this one specifically because I would use more Resident Evil, because Resident Evil would make more sense for my game because it's very much a survival horror game, so you'd have to basically go from I'd go for more of the Code Veronica inventory system where you've got a very limited amount of space and you can't really go any higher the further you go on. Thank you for watching. I hope you learnt something and I hope you enjoyed.